Thanks, Senator Reid. Senator Tillis of North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Grunberg, in response to Senator Round's question about whether or not you had any knowledge prior to the publication of the report, you said, as a general matter, no. Should I read anything into that, or did you not know about any of these activities before the report?
Yeah, I did not know about the individual cases. I wouldn't in the normal course of things.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barr, I think the Fed, the thing I've admired about the Fed, I think the thing that the industry has admired about the Fed is it has a long history of consensus-driven decision-making. You clearly, at this point, do not have consensus on some of the notice of public rulemaking, the endgame for Basel III. I know of maybe some questions or concerns that Mr. Jefferson have raised, Mr. Powell, and others. Do you intend to move forward with this if you don't have consensus among the board?
Thank you, Senator Tillis. I'll be working to achieve broad consensus of the board in a final rule. As with all rules, we try very hard to get as close to full consensus. I would like to get broad consensus. I don't know whether I'll be able to get full consensus.
And what would broad consensus look like?
A broad consensus would be that most of the board believes that this is an appropriate step. You know, most of the activities that we've put forward over the last year and a half since I've been on the board, not quite a year and a half, but 15 months, most of those have been full consensus items. We've had about 50 substantive supervision and regulation matters come before the board. Almost all of them, every board member has voted in favor of. I very much appreciate and value the collegial nature of the board and the consensus.
Well, I hope you will. I want to, if time allows, I want to get to some of the areas, particularly the cost and putting us at a competitive disadvantage. But I want to move on to something else. The chair talked about, and this has been suggested before, that Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank failed because of Senate Bill 2155, bipartisan regulatory reform that we implemented in the Trump administration with the support of Democrat members in this committee. Have we passed a law since Silicon Valley Bank failed that's increased your supervisory authority?
No, Senator.
No. But you did say you've stepped up and you've intensified supervision. I'm assuming you did part of that by using the optionality in the Senate Bill 2155 to actually increase your MRAs and MRIs. Is that accurate?
As I've indicated in previous testimony, we have the legal authority we need to engage in this.
I guess it's just odd to me to think that we had a bill that has been more than once pointed to as a reason for the failure. We haven't changed a line of regulatory legislation. You're intensifying your supervisory functions, which you should if they're founded on banking activities that you think represent a risk. So I just don't get it. You had that optionality. One of the reasons why I think Signature failed is because someone was asleep at the switch in the supervisory function and a management failure. But I just can't let that go unchecked because you are stepping up. And it relates to another question I have. I sent a letter back in September when there was a news report talking about 7 different financial institutions and their dramatically increased, specific institutions, dramatically increased MRAs and MRIs. I can't imagine those 7 banks just went to the press and said, "Hey, we're getting a lot more. We're getting a lot more impact." That sounds like someone from the Fed or the supervisor had to have leaked confidential supervisory information. We copied you on the letter, but can you tell me whether or not there's any investigation underway to figure out how that information got out? I can't imagine it came from the industry. It just doesn't make sense for any reporter to have that specific information on 7 institutions to serve as a basis for a report.
Senator, I also was upset by that article. I didn't think that it was appropriate. We do have strict rules on confidential supervisory information. I'm not aware of the source of that article, but I do find it upsetting.
Yeah, and I think somebody needs to be tracked down and terminated for doing it. Mr. Chair, I'd like to seek unanimous consent to introduce this article that was written by my alma mater, by PricewaterhouseCoopers, the Financial Services Update, Basel III Endgame, Outsized Operational Risk Impact. I've only got
Objections ordered.
Thank you. I only got 20 seconds left, so we're going to have to submit questions for the record. I believe in its current form, and that's why I hope that you can find consensus. In its current form, I think we're going to disadvantage banking institutions in terms of global competition. I think the operational risk is outsized, and we've got a lot of questions, and I don't have any more time. Thank you.